Yet this massive, very generous contribution has given the American people very little return on their investment. The UN has become an inefficient and bloated bureaucracy that has departed from its original mandate of maintaining international peace and security to instead focusing on politicized mandates and woke ideology. I'd like to say that was breaking news, but it is not. It has been happening for some time. Worse, many UN agencies have deep-rooted anti-American and anti-Israeli biases and even provide preferential treatment to our adversaries. This is not what the American people signed up for, and it's certainly not what they want to pay for. I'm glad that President Trump stood up for the American people and withdrew the United States from organizations that do not serve our interest, like UNESCO and the ill-fated UN Human Rights Council. In both of your hearings last year, I told you that I believed you had two of the hardest jobs in trying to reform the UN. I'm pleased to see that you've taken that challenge in hand and are demanding radical transparency, real accountability, and enacting actual reforms that will hopefully transform a broken body into one that actually works for the
American power is strongest when we are exercising it with allies. From World War II through the Cold War, our major successes have come through broad, multilateral coalitions because alliances multiply American power. But unfortunately, instead of working with NATO allies like France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, the administration has been criticizing them for refusing to join the U.S. effort in the Strait of Hormuz. As a result, we are now operating without shared burden, political cover, or international legitimacy. That's reflected in how the United States is voting at the United Nations, both in substance and who we are lining up with. Increasingly, the United States is voting with Russia, China, Belarus, and North Korea.
Again, we have our work cut out for us, but we have a great team here. Ambassador Bartos has the very unenviable job of doing nothing but reforming the UN, and he has a great team of civil servants and foreign service officers behind him. And with that, I'll conclude and just conclude with the president means it when he says there's so much potential. You know, when we look at some of these conflicts that have sat around for 30, 40, 50 years with peacekeeping forces that cost nearly $1 billion a year, we have to tie them to a political process. Our special envoys in the State Department and our great team there are driving those processes, and then we're hooking those peacekeeping forces and missions to those processes so they can work themselves out of a job, and we can share the burden with like-minded nations. And that finally, as I say to my family members that ask about the UN all the time, we need one place in the world where everybody can come and talk. And I want that to be right here in the United States, not in Brussels or Moscow or Beijing or anywhere else.
Later this year, the United Nations will select a new Secretary General, and this will mark a consequential moment for the future of the institution. For the United States, as the largest financial contributor, it's an opportunity to demand real reform. We should support leadership that prioritizes accountability, transparency, and confronts anti-Semitism within the UN system and pushes back against adversaries like Communist China. Concerningly, one of the candidates gaining traction for this role is Dr. Michelle Bachelet. Her record raises serious doubts about whether she meets that standard. As High Commissioner for Human Rights, Dr. Bachelet was given a platform to investigate credible reports that Communist China was detaining over 1 million Uyghurs in internment camps, carrying out forced sterilizations, and using coerced labor. Instead of clearly calling out those abuses, she conducted a tightly controlled visit, coordinated with Beijing, and stopped short of labeling these actions genocide. Now, while the report did have serious allegations of mass detention, sexual violence, and forced sterilizations, a diplomat cited by Politico at the time claimed that sections, particularly with regard to the forced sterilizations, were watered down right within hours of the final report being released. She also has promoted the view that abortion is a fundamental human right. These actions reflect a pattern of poor judgment, misplaced priorities, and a failure to uphold the UN's core mission. This disqualifies her from leading the UN. In fact, I recently co-signed a letter to Secretary Rubio urging the United States to use its veto to block her nomination. Ambassador Waltz, based on her record, do you believe Dr. Bachelet would advance meaningful reform at the UN?
Thank you for the question, Senator. And I agree with you. This is really and truly a turning point year for the UN in terms of new leadership. It is 2 5-year terms. So we could be looking at the next Secretary General over the next decade. And I'm not in a position today to publicly say who we will or we will not support. But I'll tell you,
I didn't ask you who
everything
support.
that's out there.
I asked you, would she?
Or that who we will
would
use
she
our
support
veto
reform?
for. But I could tell you, I share your concerns. And I am sure I'm safe in speaking for the Secretary. He shares your concerns. Just from a broader, kind of a broader perspective, the conventional wisdom up in New York is it's never been someone from Latin America, and there's never been a woman, so therefore it must be a Latin American woman. We have taken the position of we just need the best. And this institution desperately needs strong, effective leadership. And I can assure you, reform, reform, reform along the lines of development aid, humanitarian aid, and getting back to basics on peace and security will be at the top of our criteria. Ambassador Bartos and I are conducting those interviews and meetings right now as we speak. But I want to underline, I share your concerns.
Okay. Should the United States be prepared to use its leverage, including its Security Council position, to block candidates like Dr. Bachelet who failed to meet the standard?
I think the United States will absolutely be prepared to ensure that the next Secretary General is aligned with American values and interests.
So what does the president mean when he says that if these negotiations don't work out, he will end Iran's civilization?
Well, Senator, I think that statement in the broader context, he also talked about attacking infrastructure, bridges, power plants, and we all know Iran has a long history of commingling both civilian and military, of hiding weapons in hospitals and schools, and using what could be just pure civilian infrastructure to also power factories for drones, for missiles, and the IRGC controls nearly 50% of the economy. I think it looks like, frankly, well, look,
What does it mean to end? I guess what does it mean? What does it mean to end a civilization?
But I think we have to look at the fact that you have a regime that literally chants death to America for the last 47 years and has acted on it, has killed thousands of Americans, has slaughtered its own people. Do you know how many machine gun bullets does it take over the course of a week to kill 40,000 of its own people?
Right, but does that merit a threat to end civilization?
Senator, it was some tough talk. And what are the results? What are the results? Was we had the highest level engagement in the history of the Iranian regime with the vice president and speaker of the parliament less than a week later. We had a ceasefire 48 hours later. They clearly got the message, and they clearly came back to the table.